The day an HOA tyrant attacked my daughter. The piercing wail of a glucose monitor sliced through the quiet of our suburban dawn, yanking me from sleep at 6:30 a.m. My heart was already pounding as I recognized the sound, not a gentle nudge, but the frantic cry of a low blood sugar emergency. I was out of bed before my feet hit the floor, calling for my daughter, Emily, as I sprinted down the hall of our modest Virginia home. Grabbing glucose tablets from the kitchen cabinet, I burst into her room. At 17, Emily sat trembling, her face drained of color, fumbling with her phone's monitor app. "Dad, I'm at 62, she whispered, her voice slurred, lips pale. Dropping fast, I asked, sliding 3 tablets into her hand. "Deep breaths, Em. We've got this." She nodded weakly, swallowing the lifeline. For 9 years, type 1 diabetes had been our family's uninvited guest, stalking Emily through holidays, exams, and sleepless nights. By 6:50, her levels stabilized enough for her to stand. "I'll wait outside for Claire," she said, grabbing her testing kit and snacks. "Still feel off, so I'm keeping an eye on it." I kissed her forehead. "Text me if anything shifts." As she stepped onto our porch, framed by the rising sun, I didn't know it was the last moment of peace we'd have before hell broke loose. The morning air was crisp, the neighborhood still cloaked in dew, when a venomous voice shattered the calm. "Get away from my fence, you little junkie." I froze, coffee mug halfway to my lips. That voice belonged to Patricia Hensley, our HOA's self-proclaimed queen, a 5 feet 7 inches storm of silk robes and designer slippers marching across her lawn like she owned the block. From the kitchen window, I saw her jabbing a manicured finger at Emily, who sat quietly on our porch steps, checking her glucose monitor. I bolted for the front door, slamming it open. "Patricia, back off," I snapped, stepping between her and Emily. "She's on our property, minding her business." Patricia spat. "She's lurking, always out at odd hours, tapping that phone like she's dealing drugs. I've seen her with syringes." My jaw clenched. "Those are insulin pens. She's a type 1 diabetic. That device keeps her alive." Patricia sneered. "Diabetes? At her age? That's a junkie excuse. She's scheming." Emily looked up, pale and confused. "I'm just waiting for my ride," she said, voice shaking. Patricia cut her off. "Save it. I've called CPS before, and I'll do it again. This isn't a rehab center." Something dark snapped inside me. "Touch my kid again," I said, voice low, "and you'll need more than HOA rules to save you." She smirked. "We'll see." It happened in a flash. Patricia lunged, slapping Emily across the face with a sickening crack. Emily's head snapped sideways, her body twisting as she hit the concrete step, glasses skidding across the porch. A thin line of blood bloomed from her eyebrow. "Patricia!" I roared, fury exploding. But she didn't flinch, pointing at Emily with righteous glee. "Caught you. That's what junkies get, public shame." I rushed to Emily's side. She was trembling, her breath shallow, reaching for her glucose tablets and insulin pen. Patricia stomped forward, raising her heel and smashing Emily's insulin pump. Plastic cracked, tubing snapped. "No more games," she screamed. "I'm cleaning up this neighborhood." I froze for 3 seconds, then surged forward, grabbing Patricia's wrist as she swung for Emily's testing kit. Twisting it back, I sent her slipper flying. "You touch her again, I swear," she hissed. "What? You'll hit a woman." I stared her down. "No. I'll stop a threat." Emily moaned behind me, her monitor beeping urgently. "Dad, I can't see," she whispered. Patricia rolled her eyes. "Theatrics. You people are disgusting." I didn't speak. I moved like a storm. Grabbing Patricia's hair, I yanked her off balance and slammed her against the brick wall by our garden. Her breath left in a grunt, nails clawing my arm. "You assaulted my daughter," I growled. "You broke her lifeline." She gasped. "I was protecting the neighborhood. I didn't punch her." I drove her face into the bricks. She collapsed, shrieking, blood trickling from her mouth. "You're insane," she screeched, scrambling back. "No, Patricia," I said. "You leapt over the line." Emily whimpered again, her monitor flashing critical red. I had seconds to save her, but not before finishing this. I twisted Patricia's wrist, hoisted her off the ground, and hurled her over the HOA-approved fence she adored. She crashed into her flower bed, gnomes and tulips flying. Yanking off my belt, I strapped her wrists tight, pinning her face into the muddy lawn. You nearly killed her, I said, voice lethal. Justice doesn't forget. I called 911. This is Judge Thomas Randall. I've detained a suspect who assaulted my daughter and destroyed her medical equipment. Send an ambulance and police now. I charged back to Emily, now barely conscious, lips bluish. Fight, Em, I said, carrying her inside. I stabbed a backup insulin pen into her thigh, whispering, come on. Outside, Patricia shrieked. He threw me like trash. That girl's a liar. Sirens wailed as police and an ambulance arrived. EMT Lopez rushed past. Where is she? Inside, I said. 17, diabetic, pump destroyed, insulin injected 2 minutes ago. Meanwhile, Patricia, half free from the belt, screamed, they're criminals. She's a druggie. Officer Bennett stared at her. Ma'am, what did you do? Patricia snapped. I removed her drug device. Lopez cut in. Her blood sugar was 280 and climbing. 10 more minutes. She'd be in DKA. You're lucky she's alive. I stepped forward. Officer, I want charges. Assault, destruction of medical property, child endangerment, and if she doesn't pull through, manslaughter. Patricia's eyes widened, fear creeping in. 3 weeks later, the courthouse hummed with tension. Reporters swarmed, drawn by headlines. HOA tyrant attacks judge's diabetic daughter. Emily was recovering but scarred, physically and emotionally. She'd asked me not to hold back. I wouldn't. Patricia sat at the defense table, defiant, representing herself after firing her lawyer. The prosecutor, ADA Karen Walsh, laid out the charges: felony child endangerment, aggravated assault, and destruction of medical equipment. Patricia stood, brushing her blazer. Your Honor, this was a safety intervention. That girl's an addict. Walsh snapped. She's diabetic, diagnosed at 8, insulin dependent. Patricia waved a hand. Real diabetics are old and fat, not skinny teens with drama. I know addicts. The courtroom gasped. The judge leaned forward. Mrs. Hensley, your medical qualifications. She straightened. I'm an HOA president, trained to spot suspicious behavior. I stood. Your Honor, may I speak? He nodded. I faced Patricia. You ripped a medical device off my daughter, called her a junkie, and laughed as she nearly died. She smirked. Teach her not to fake illnesses. Walsh exploded. Objection. The judge banged his gavel. Sustained. Walsh presented surveillance footage. Patricia slapping Emily, stomping the pump, screaming about cleaning the street. The gallery fell silent. Patricia's smirk cracked. Then Emily entered, shoulders straight, new pump at her side. Her voice was soft but sharp. I've had seizures, collapsed in my sleep, been hospitalized countless times. I manage my diabetes. But you, Mrs. Hensley, called me a liar. You slapped me, destroyed my pump, and nearly killed me. What hurt most? You didn't care. Patricia scoffed. Spare me the drama. I stood, teeth clenched. You broke her body and spirit, and you sit there filthy with arrogance. The judge silenced me, but the truth was out. Judge Hawthorne's voice was granite. Mrs. Hensley, you've shown no remorse. Patricia muttered, I'm the victim. He continued, guilty on all counts. 2 years in custody, 5 years probation, full restitution for medical costs, 500 hours at a diabetes advocacy group, and a permanent ban from HOA leadership. Patricia bolted up. You can't. I built that neighborhood. Handcuffs snapped on as she shrieked. She's faking. You'll see. As they led her out, she turned to Emily. You ruined me. Emily stood tall, unshaken. 6 months later, our home was peaceful, earned through fire. Emily stood before a mirror, adjusting a navy blazer, her pump visibly a badge of survival. She was set to speak at a medical awareness summit, her first since the trial. At the venue, her name echoed, and her voice didn't waver. 6 months ago, someone called my insulin pump a lie. They thought cruelty could erase my illness. They were wrong. Diabetes isn't weakness, it's a fight. I'll never let anyone take that from me. The crowd roared, a standing ovation. But a letter waited at home, jagged handwriting from Patricia. You didn't win. I don't care about your speeches. You're a fraud. A note from the diabetes organization's director confirmed her defiance. She ridicules patients, refuses to serve, and sees only herself. Patricia hadn't changed, but the world had. Our HOA banned medical-based harassment. Schools updated diabetic protocols. Emily joined a national foundation, her voice echoing nationwide. That night, Emily asked, "Do people like her ever stop?" I said, "No, but they bury themselves in their noise." Our porch light glowed steadily, and we felt power ours. Sometimes, cruelty hides behind titles like HOA president. Patricia didn't just attack Emily's body. She assaulted her dignity, her truth. But truth doesn't break, it fights. Emily turned pain into steel, reminding us that chronic illness is a battlefield walked daily, without applause. Ignorance, unchecked, becomes violence, silence, permission. So speak up. If you've seen power misused like this, share your story below. Was I right to fight back with force? Should Patricia have faced harsher consequences? Let's debate. Your voice matters. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to join the fight for justice.